Bringing you news from home, across the globe and the sporting arena. This is News First Primetime News live on MTV Sports and Shakti TV from our News First Center here in Colombo. I'm Shahin Jirampati.
And I'm Arundhati Mudarnayak. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Special Presidential Task Force to recover state assets. The Lawyers Collective stresses the importance of punishing those behind the central bank bond controversy. General Sarath Fonseca to become first Sri Lankan Field Marshal. Udayagammam Pillap before Supreme Court to seek a public referendum on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution.
And now the stories in detail. An adjournment debate took place in Parliament today over the central bank bond issue, which is riddled with controversy.
A Singaporean national cannot obtain dual citizenship. If that is the case, on what basis did Arjuna Mahendran, who is a citizen of Singapore, arrive here? The Prime Minister has engaged in an act that undermines the honour and dignity of the country. Is this good governance? He says that it was he who handpicked these persons. While there are connections with Malik Samaravikrama and connections of the United National Party here, the Prime Minister appointing such a committee is an insult to us. It is a disgrace to good governance. Can a thief, after committing a robbery, take a leave and say that he is not going to be in the picture? What did he do after? He cast aside the questions I posed and spoke in Parliament to attack those who are politically against him. What was it that he said? He is attacking the Sirasa channel. Back then, he commended Sirasa. Now, it is not. This is like the judge hearing his own case.
I have selected lawyers who will not compromise their principles and not to be got at.
It's like asking directions from the rogue's mother. He's selecting the lawyers. How can he select independent lawyers?
Independent lawyers, lover.
The Lawyers Collective stressed the importance of punishing those who are behind the central bank bond controversy.
Without any reservations, I would like to reiterate that an investigation should be conducted. Those who are responsible for this scam needs to be punished. That is the responsibility of the government. We are also aware that if the government attempts to sweep this issue under the carpet, it will be challenged. We are happy that an investigation has been launched. However, we are yet to know the activities of this committee in question. If corruption had taken place in this transaction, those behind it needs to face criminal charges. If they are found guilty for these criminal charges, they should go behind bars. When an individual serves in the state sector, there are several ways in which you could punish him. You could either remove him, interdict him, or send him on compulsory leave. I have openly said my stance on this matter. When such an investigation is underway, there should not be any influence from the individual concerned to the investigation.
It's been 3 weeks since this controversial transaction took place. We are still waiting for results. It's quite simple. Arjuna Mahendran, the governor of the central bank, has admitted to wrongdoing. There need not be any further inquiry. He must go home, not be on paid leave. The financial cost of this transaction runs into millions and millions of rupees each year. Calculated for the full 30-year term, it's currently estimated by experts to be in the region of 23 billion rupees. That's money this country cannot afford. That is why we say Arjuna Mahendran must go home. It's as simple as that.
A comprehensive investigation needs to be carried out. Prior to his appointment, I expressed my views giving examples from the past. I communicated my stance on his appointment very clearly. He has done exactly what I said before. They wouldn't have faced this situation if they accepted what I said.
The Cabinet has decided to establish a special presidential task force on recovery of state assets. Cabinet spokesperson Minister Rajendra Senaratne made this statement while addressing the Cabinet briefing and also announced that decisions had been reached over several large-scale projects.
The proposal made by the President to establish a presidential task force for the recovery of state assets and revenue that have been moved away from the country was approved by the Cabinet. We have received information of 3 accounts in the Bank of Dubai of such nature. Individuals connected to a leading family and officials as well as politicians have connections to these accounts with a value of around $1 billion. This amount is far greater than the foreign reserves of the country and even more than $10 billion. This proposal seeks the recovery of these assets back to the country.
Cabinet has also appointed a committee to re-investigate the construction of the Defence Headquarters complex in Akuregoda, Batharamulla.
They had planned to construct this similar to the Pentagon. As a massive cost will have to be borne, the Secretary to the Ministry of Defence will steer a committee that was appointed, and it was decided to recommence this project after obtaining the recommendations of the committee. It was also decided to cancel the contract that has already been awarded related to the Bandaranaike International Airport runway, overlay and related works. The company which was given the contract has no expertise on this. All projects on district coordination under the Ministry of Economic Development will be implemented expeditiously. This is to engage in all the welfare acts that were vested with the ministries.
Journalists also raised questions as to whether an election will be called for.
The people cast their vote not for another election but for the promises made to be fulfilled. I do not assume that anyone would make an issue if this takes 150 days in the event it cannot be done in 100 days.
Well, China says that as a cooperative partner, it is willing to assist Sri Lanka to solve difficulties and provide assistance over the suspension of construction activities of the Port City project in Colombo. News First Katrina Chang filed this report from Beijing, China.
As a responsible cooperative partner of the Sri Lanka government, we actually looked through and checked all the licenses and clearances given to us before the start of the construction. And one clear conclusion that we can draw from that is that all licenses and clearances is provided by a cooperating partner, the Sri Lankan government. They are legally binding before the commencement of the construction. We are happy to see that the letters given to us by the Sri Lankan government is to suspend the construction activities on our side. So at China Harbour, we have never jumped to the conclusion that the Sri Lankan government has terminated the contract between an international company and the government. So at any occasion, we emphasize as a cooperative partner that we are willing to assist Sri Lanka to solve any difficulties.
Speaking exclusively to News First, Katrina Chang in Beijing, China, the Deputy Director General of the Western Region Development Department of the National Development and Reform Commission made the following remarks on the suspension of the Port City project.
The companies are mostly concerned about whether there is a change of policy in the new government. I think that many investors believe that there won't be change of investment policy due to the change in government.
China's and Sri Lanka's relationship has extended over a long period of time. But what is the relationship right now at present? What we do know is, and what is evident during these talks, is that policies must be reviewed when it comes to economic and bilateral ties. Reporting from Beijing, China, I'm Katrina Chang for News First.
Private security firms were also a point that was raised at the Cabinet media briefing today.
Can you find out how much the Sri Lankan government has received by way of dividend or by revenue from the Lanka operation for the last 5 years or so?
They are still there. They are still, I think, going through them. They have not submitted the accounts in.
Because the last court report suggested that no money has been paid to the state.
Yes.
So, but can you tell us?
There are so many discrepancies. That is why they send the messages to me to keep quiet for 2 weeks. And so many people are involved to help them. Right, even in the government, I told the names of the people to the Prime Minister. Right, they all are trying to hoodwink the people. So, but when we are coming forward and taking these matters, they also Give back to us.
Are you now scared or are you now scared?
Never know. That's the weakness.
So, but then why you say you're going to keep quiet for 2 weeks?
I will never keep quiet.
You were asked to keep up.
I was asked to keep quiet. If I can keep quiet for 2 weeks, then they can settle the matter.
We're making headlines this evening as well. The presidential media unit has announced that General Sarath Fonseca, the former Chief of Defence Staff, will be promoted to the rank of Field Marshal. The official ceremony in this regard will take place on the 22nd of this month under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
Former Army Commander Sarath Fonseca will become Sri Lanka's first Field Marshal. The rank of Field Marshal, which never retires, is equivalent to the position of a cabinet minister. Field Marshal is the highest rank in a country's 3 armed forces. Enlisted to the army on the 5th of February 1970, Fonseca was commissioned as a second lieutenant and subsequently posted to the 1st Battalion Sri Lanka Singha Regiment, where he began his life in the army. Later, Sarath Fonseca rose to the ranks of lieutenant, captain and major. As a colonel, Sarath Fonseca commanded the 23rd Brigade. As a colonel, Sarath Fonseca fearlessly faced the battle against terrorism and during that time actively participated as the brigade commander in Operation Balavegia. Sarath Fonseca was promoted to the rank of brigadier on the 1st of December 1993 and was later promoted to the 2-star rank of Major General on the 23rd of February 1998. For a nation that had been held captive by terrorists for over 3 decades, on the 6th of December 2005, he assumed office as the commander of the army. On being promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General, as the cycle of LTT terrorism was reaching a critical stage. With his new appointment as commander, Lieutenant General Sarath Fonseca brought in new reforms to the army and modernized it while taking an intense stand against terrorism. While the operations to eliminate terrorism were on after the Mavilar episode, he survived a suicidal LTTE attack inside the army headquarters on the 25th of April 2006. Fonseca, who had also suffered battle wounds in the field, bravely faced his injury too and re-entered the battlefield after a complete recovery. While the operations to eliminate terrorism were on after the Mavilar episode and later to corner the LTTE in Nandi Kadala, Fonseca provided leadership to the forces and finally fulfilled his objective. In recognition of his services, he was promoted to the rank of general immediately after the culmination of the war and was later appointed the Chief of Defence Staff. Sarath Fonseca, an active serviceman during the 30-year-long war, including during the operations of Balavegia, Nunavatina Rallavada Marachi and Riverasa, was presented with many decorations by the military for his dedication from the beginning to the end of the conflict. Among these decorations are the Rana Vikrama, Rana Sura, Vishishta Seva Vibhushanaya and Uttama Seva medals. In 2009, bidding farewell to his illustrious career after serving his nation for over 3 decades, General Sarath Fonseca entered active politics in 2009.
Several debates arose when questions were posed today in Parliament expecting oral answers.
Ethanol products are a byproduct that is found in the production of sugar after grinding the sugarcane. We wish to know whether molasses were imported to the country aiming at producing ethanol.
Over the past 2 months, nothing of that sort had taken place. We are maintaining a standard on that.
The owners of some of these companies are former ministers and MPs and sometimes the chief minister of provinces or their wives.
Yes, we are aware of the connections of 4 MPs. I will not reveal the names here. I will direct them to you. They have direct connections. They are the ones who had not paid what is due to the excise department and operated.
A majority of the people in this country were expecting the Colombo North Expressway and also the Colombo Kandy Expressway. The people were also expecting the extension of the expressway from Mathura to Hambantota. I wish to know whether your government will be implementing the extension of the expressway this year, or will you carry out on the work that had already commenced?
We will complete the Outer Colombo Circle. We have a need to complete the construction of it. However, we are not prepared to hand over the contract to those who skimmed money and are involved in fraud and corruption. A question was raised on the Southern Expressway, that is the extension from Mathura to Hambantota. We are aware of the congestion we face when we travel from Colombo to Kandy and Colombo to Kurunegala. We are aware of the environmental pollution. That is where this needs to be implemented, not to an area where only a few visit. A question was also raised on the Northern Expressway. One road leads to Kurunegala and the other to Kandy and then to the north. These sections were given to 5 companies without any competitive nature. One section cost between 39 billion rupees and 51 billion rupees. We wish to state that the construction of the first phase of the Northern Expressway will be vested with transparency. Anyone can compete and bid for it.
The proposed Junior Asian Sports Festival. In addition to the constructions taking place in Hambantota, have you looked into the expenditure borne over the other sports venues? Are you satisfied with the status over this?
On policy-based matters, we have stopped this sports festival. Based on policy, we will not go ahead with the proposed future constructions. However, we are committed to complete the construction that had already commenced.
The Pivithiru Helorumia says that it will seek a public referendum through court in order to pass the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. Here are some of the views expressed by politicians over the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, the proposed electoral reforms.
A 7-member bench of the Supreme Court took a decision on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. If a power that was given to the President by the people is to be transferred to another, the permission of the masses needs to be sought through a public referendum. The 19th Amendment to the Constitution says that Cabinet will be chaired by Prime Minister and not the President. The President can call for it, if he wishes so. In addition, the distribution of subjects to the ministries will be done by the Prime Minister. Thereby, it is the Prime Minister who will be the leader of the government. We are against the weakening of the executive and destabilizing the country. We hope to seek from the Supreme Court to call for a public referendum over the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. We request the next election to be held in a fair and proportional manner. Those non-political and unjust black sheep came through these preferential votes. When the proportional voting system comes into place, it will only be politics that will be involved. Therefore, we seek a fair election. The proportional election system is a right of the people of this country. When an individual contests under a party, he becomes a member of the party. That is the election law. We contested under the UPFA and we elected to Parliament. Our leader Vimal Veerawansa and myself represent the UPFA in Parliament. Ranil Wickramasinghe is playing a double game. On one hand, he is attempting to band together the MPs of the SLFP using their president to bring about the national government. On the other hand, what is taking place? The government is being forced to dissolve parliament in 100 days. Then what do? We state with responsibility. Ranil Wickramasinghe is attempting to pave the way for the establishment of a UMP government.
Tensions arose when the foundation stone for the construction of the new bus stand for Habaradua was laid today.
The event to lay the foundation stone for the Habaradua bus stand, which will be constructed at a cost of 20 million rupees, was presided by Ministers Gantha Karunatilaka and Ranjit Madhuma Bandara. At the conclusion of this event, Deputy Speaker of Parliament Chandimavira Kodi, accompanied by a group, arrived at the location and distributed handbills. The handbill cited that the construction of the bus stand was a plan formulated by the previous government. CB Ratnayaka during the previous government funded this construction. However, when the contractor was to begin construction of the bus stand, this government issued a circular halting all construction. I request from the Minister to carry out this project. This is our project. Do not speak lies. The work under the 100-day program commenced under a lie. Remember that the intelligent persons from Habaradua will rise against these deceptions. UNP organizer for the Habaradua electorate, who organized the ceremony to lay the foundation stone, responded to this in the following manner along with his supporters. There was no permission obtained for anything. During the presidential election, they deceived the people by merely placing a foundation stone. That was it. There were no funds. They came here and distributed a handbill saying that it was their money. They never had the funds. Today, we did not only lay the foundation stone, we initiated the construction by allocating 20 million rupees.
Moving on to business news, at the cabinet media briefing, it was announced that the government had taken steps to introduce a certified price for rubber from the 15th of this month. However, small rubber estate owners point out that several issues have arisen when implementing this process.
Rubber cultivators were in a crisis situation as the price of rubber drastically reduced during the last year. As a result, many had let go the trade of sapping rubber, as they did not receive an amount that would cover their costs. As a solution to this issue, the budget proposed to introduce a concessionary program for rubber. The program will see a guaranteed purchase price of rubber to be 350 rupees per kilogram and the remainder of the cost to be given by the government. Although the government's efforts need to be commended, the small rubber estate owners point out that obtaining a relief through this program is difficult.
When we sell our rubber products, they do not pay us 350 rupees. Their price is either 200 rupees or 225 rupees. To obtain the remainder of the 350 rupees, we have to travel another 25 kilometers to the Rubber Development Department.
If I am sapping the rubber of another person, I only receive half of what is given. How can such an individual even own a land? He will not receive the 350 rupees. This is only given for sheet rubber. Another group gives the sapped rubber. There is no price relief introduced for them.
Back then, there was a place where the state would purchase the rubber or either the cooperatives. If that is brought back, the people will benefit from it.
The 28 students who took ill after drinking water from the school's water tank are currently receiving treatment at the Jaffna Teaching Hospital and the Chunakam Base Hospital. The students who had taken ill are from the Sri Murugan School in Ellale, Jaffna.
The police stated that the students were admitted to hospital subsequent to consuming water from the water tank in the school. According to the police, 2 empty bottles of poison were discovered from within the water tank.
26 students have been admitted to hospital after consuming poisonous water. With the help of the samples received from the teachers of the school, it was revealed that the substance that had been mixed with the water is used for agriculture. The children are out of harm. The children will be sent home after they receive treatment for around 48 to 72 hours.
A police investigation is underway to ascertain as to how the bottles of poison found its way into the water tank. A total of 464 students from grades 1 to 11 are receiving their education from this school.
The Colombo Wind Orchestra will present an evening of swing and classics on the 28th of March 2015 at the Ladies College Hall. Now, the orchestra will be conducted by the well-renowned Keiko Kobayashi, and the repertoire features the best of classics, swing, jazz and fusion from the works of George Gershwin, Billy Stadhorn, Richard Rogers, Glenn Miller, Robert Russell Bennett and Frank Celli. The Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka is one of the oldest orchestras in South Asia. The SFM is a media sponsor for the event.
And that is a wrap of News First Prime Time for today. Thank you very much for watching. For the News First team, I'm Shahin Rampati.
And I'm Arundhati Mudannayakan. Good night.